Okay, let's take a look at finding some infinite integrals with U-substitution, and we're going to do ones that are a little more difficult here, just in that the U and the du don't work out as cleanly here, but still very doable. Okay, so for U, we're going to concentrate on cosine, right? Because that's our function that we're going to integrate. So we're going to say x cubed plus 2x squared is U. So that means du now is going to be 3x squared plus 4x, right? And then we're going to have dx, right? So we might as well put this in parentheses, makes it a little easier. And now we're going to go ahead and write this as du over 3x squared plus 4x. And that is equal to dx. Okay, so now we have u and solve for d of x, or dx, and then we're going to go ahead and put that in. Okay, so let's do that. So we got negative 9x squared minus 12x. And then we have cosine of u. And then for dx, we're going to write du over 3x squared plus 4x. Okay, now here's where this one gets tricky, right? We can't just cancel this out, right? We need this to be 3x squared plus 4x. But notice, you can divide something out of this so that that happens, right? So if I divide by negative 3 here, or factor out a negative 3, I can make this work. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to say negative 3, and notice if I do that, I get 3x squared, and then the negative 3 times positive 4 would get me back to 12x. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this, and now we can cancel these. So now it's going to get a little easier here. And so let's just rewrite this once to demonstrate that before we cancel. So that's the key here, is figuring out, okay, well, something's going on here that I can factor something out or multiply by something in order to get it to equal what I have here. And so now the 3x squared plus 4x cancels out because it's in the numerator and denominator here. Let's bring that negative 3 on the outside of the integral, because we're not integrating the negative 3. We're integrating the function with a variable, which is cosine. And now cosine is just going to go back to sine, right? So now we're actually done with all the hard work, and now it's just doing the integration and rewriting. Okay, so that's sine of u plus c. And now we need to take whatever we have as u, which is x cubed plus 2x squared. And let's rewrite this one. So this is f of x equals negative 3 sine of x cubed plus 2x squared plus c. And now we're done with this one. Okay, let's try another one. All right, now here's where it gets a little tricky as well, because if you look at this, right, we got to think about what are we going to make my u. Okay, and you want to think back to the fact that when we integrate 1 over x, right, that becomes natural log of the absolute value of x plus c. And that's what we're going to look at here. We're going to take what's right here, and we're going to make that u. Okay, so this is kind of a special case of U-substitution, but that's what we're doing here. So let's make this, so if you don't see any powers or anything in parentheses, it's going to be the special case of natural log of x, most likely. So 2x cubed minus 4x. So now I'm going to say du equals 3 times 2 is 6x squared minus 4 dx. Okay, so let's do one more step here. Du over 6x squared minus 4 equals dx. Okay, so now I'm going to rewrite this. Okay, so I have my original negative 12x squared plus 8. Let's actually write that up here. We have negative 12x squared plus 8. And down here we have actually, now this is just going to be u. And here we have du over 6x squared minus 4. Okay, now I look at this and I say, okay, well, how can I get this one to look like 6x squared minus 4? Okay, and think about 6 times what is going to give me negative 12 is negative 2. Okay, so that's what you got to factor out here. So let's go ahead and do that. So now we're going to have negative 2. And that's going to be multiplied by 6 is going to get us back there. and then negative 2 times negative 4 gives me 8. Okay, so notice how these are set up for you to be able to do them. If otherwise the integral doesn't work, right? And now I can cancel out my 6x squared minus 4. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel these two right here. And now I'm going to put that negative 2 outside. And actually, now all the hard work is done. We got 1 over u du. And we know that that's the special case of natural logs. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite this. And then we'll just have to input our x values for, well, not x values, but our expression with x in place of u. So final answer here is f of x equals negative 2 natural log of 2x cubed minus 4x and plus c. And now we're done with this one.